Alright, so this is the Desiring Sex video. So, within Desiring Sex, I do not desire sex, but I desire a feeling. Or, yeah, I desire comfort, intimacy, and relief. What's interesting is that this is my third time doing this video, and I feel like I cannot say anymore because I feel like I've said it all now. Anyways, so, yeah, within desiring sex, I don't desire sex, I desire comfort, intimacy, and relief. So the comfort, I usually feel uncomfortable in a moment where I am desiring sex, which I am not desiring sex, I'm desiring the comfort. And, okay, so, when I desire sex, I'm in a moment of discomfort. So I'm going to give you an example. Previously in my life, I would go out in public with an idea or perception of how I want to be perceived, and I project that as me, so I exist or have been existing as an idea of, or perception, and within that I'm obviously not me. So through existing as that throughout a day, I become very uncomfortable with myself because I'm not myself. So when I would get done with a day, now this usually existed within school, that I was trying to place an idea, perception of myself and project it while I was at school. So on my walk home, I would think about masturbating to make myself feel comfortable, and within that thought and acceptance of that thought, I would become happy and feel comfortable, and I would be existing in this bubble that that I move around and create many desires and points of comfort within. I know who I am within this moment, and this is who I am within this moment, and knowing it. And knowing that I no longer need to act a certain way to try and be liked by another person. So I would masturbate to feel comfortable, and this exists as well within sex, that I expose myself to the other individual, and within that exposure of myself, I become comfortable within. I can be myself around another individual, and sex and relationships go hand in hand for me. So I feel comfortable around that other individual, enough to the point where I can let my dick hang out. I enjoy that saying because it epitomizes how I feel within that comfort. Like, literally. So yeah, I've exposed myself enough around this one individual that I feel comfortable um, to let my dick hang out and thus have sex. Um, and so when desiring sex, I desire that comfort and I desire that other individual within my life, um, because I, within that moment of desire, feel uncomfortable with myself as I'm trying to be something that I am not. Um, and so yeah, what's interesting is that physical and mental exposure are one and equal. That if I expose myself mentally in who I am and not an idea or perception of trying to be what I perceive as likable, um, I then am able to expose myself physically. Um, so the point is to completely expose myself mentally in every situation and not try and be something that I want to try and be. And within this comfort, I mean, I exist as that comfort. I create that comfort. I am that comfort. It doesn't come from sex and it doesn't come from the other person. I am that experience of comfort and discomfort. And so believing that sex creates that feeling of comfort for me is foolish. So I've obviously separated myself from and as sex and from and as my own experience. So also the intimacy point. The intimacy point comes from feeling alone, and that I want, or I desire another person to be intimate with, because I haven't allowed myself to be intimate with myself. I mean, when masturbating, I always used ideas and images and projections and thoughts to get myself off. And I never used my body. I mean, I've done it. I've used my body. And I've used breath to masturbate. It's just that I haven't allowed myself to do it as often as I previously masturbated with my mind. And so I've stopped masturbating for quite a while, and therefore I haven't allowed myself to be intimate with myself by using physical touch. To be intimate with myself. So when I feel alone, I desire that intimacy within and as a belief that sex gets me it, or a relationship, and that another person will give me that feeling of intimacy. So yes, the intimacy point is a feeling of alone and wanting somebody to hold and touch and feel and be intimate with. Yeah, because I haven't allowed myself to be intimate with myself, thus again separating myself from intimacy. And the relief point. The relief point is a relief from like stress or mind racing. Of after that climax point within sex, there's obviously that release and that relief of, oh, I can just completely let go now and just not care, and I have no worries within that point because I'm usually physically here. Within that release, I can just let go and just not have worries. And so obviously when I desire that relief, I'm obviously in a point of stress and worry, and therefore I desire sex to give me that relief, thus again separating myself from relieving myself through intimacy with myself. And I mean intimacy as in like what I'm doing now is touching my hand and body, but not masturbating, because that would be foolish. So yeah, it's that relief point within an sex, thus again separating myself. So yes, I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to separate myself from my own experiences. And I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to believe that my own experience comes from something outside of me as a situation, an action, or a substance. And I forgive myself for accepting and allowing myself to rely on a substance or an action or a situation to provide that experience within me. And I forgive myself for accepting and allowing myself to desire an experience, thus allowing myself to not be here in a moment, allowing myself to direct myself in a moment. So, thank you, and that was the Desiring Sex video.